This is Chris Overstreet, the Redneck Gaijin, and it's more KSP time, but we're not going to start off tonight with the hard mode play, because I've been given a very special little challenge on Facebook. Somebody in a group said, well, there was this thing about it would take a squirrel 4,800 miles of free fall to die, because that way they would starve to death, on account of terminal velocity for a squirrel is not lethal. A squirrel going at terminal velocity at sea level will hit the ground and scamper off to the next tree. Now, obviously the people who made that meme were not considering that there is no such place where you can fall 4,800 miles at sea level air pressures. They didn't have atmospheric re-entry in mind. But the group that I was on where this was posted said, no, I want to see this rendered in KSP. The problem is a squirrel, an adult squirrel, weighs roughly speaking 1 pound, half a kilogram, which is 0.0005 tons. The lightest part that is available in Kerbal Space Program with the 2 DLCs is 0.001, or basically 2 pounds. Mass, tiny nose cone, 0.001 tons. And it is that because it is tiny. We're doing a bit of a science experiment, getting the closest thing that Kerbal Space Program has to the mass and air resistance of a squirrel, and dropping it from 4,800 miles up. The object here is to get this rocket up to 7,980 kilometers, 4,800 miles, as I said, fire retrograde until we zero out our orbital velocity, and then ditch this tiny little nose cone here, and let it drop back to Kerbin, and we will follow it down. Time for a few caveats. The original meme was for 4,800 miles falling in Earth-like conditions. Specifically, the meme maker presumed Earth sea level air pressure, which we're not going to get. And the challenge was to see what would happen in a semi-realistic re-entry scenario in KSP. Now, remember that Kerbin is 1/10 the diameter of Earth. It has the same surface gravity as Earth, which is not the same thing as quite as same mass. The atmosphere, though, is a lot lower. So there's a chance that Earth's atmosphere would slow down a piece this size, whereas this one could impact for lack of air resistance, or not. We don't know. But this is going to be our best available test of it without me installing the real solar system mod. We are going to slap on the brakes. We're going to release the tiny little nose cone, the tiny little nose cone here at the top. We're going to boost the rest of the ship back into orbit, get it out of the way. And then we're going to follow this piece of space junk all the way down to the ground. And we're going to monitor its velocity. Lighting up the stack separator. It also will fall to the surface, but it's much heavier and thus less air resistant. It's going to go boom almost certainly. Okay. The damn nose cone disintegrated. It bloody well disintegrated. Okay, I guess we're following down the ring. In the meantime, let's get the main ship back on the 90 and get it out of the way. Whoa! Whoa! Okay, that experiment just got foobarred. We've given the target a vector with our thrust that pretty much invalidates the spirit of this. No, it's the nose cone! The nose cone survived! The nose cone survived. The nose cone has a gigantic periapsis. The nose cone is not crashing anytime soon. Okay, squirrel debris on suborbital trajectory. This is as close as we're going to get. Now, bear in mind, this decoupler is a lot heavier than a squirrel. A lot heavier. So what we're dealing with is 20 squirrels holding hands. 20 squirrels holding hands all the way down. Anyway, here is the ring. And we are going to follow it down. It's currently already at 92.4 meters per second. We kicked it up a lot faster than it ought to have been. Now let's find the planet. Planet is not that window. Planet is there. All right. Okay, we're doing time warp. We're coming down at roughly 3 kilometers per second, depending on which gauge you choose. We are coming down over land, apparently. We just hit atmosphere. We just had a hell of a lot of atmospheric heating. It ought to have blown up by now, but it didn't. It peaked out the meter, if I'm reading this correctly, over 15 Gs of deceleration. We're still 23 kilometers up, and it's gone subsonic. I think that pretty much establishes that if there was sea level atmosphere all the way up, this thing would never get supersonic. And remember, this thing weighs as much as 20 squirrels. This is a 10-kilogram part, give or take. It has practically no air resistance, no aerodynamic resistance to speak. This is a thing. If I decided to take up skydiving for a hobby, jumped out of a plane at stratospheric level, say 15 miles up, and pulled my ripcord and found out that I'd brought my Boy Scout camping pack instead of my parachute, I would have a hell of a long time to go over in detail the places where my life went wrong before my life ended. Velocity is still barely kind of slowing down, but we're beginning to get into the thicker air now, and it ought to be slowing down a bit more than this if it was going to survive. We are actually kind of sort of gliding here, because this is straight down here on the ball, what we're looking at now. The prograde marker is up, way up there, almost on the horizon. 1,100 meters and descending at 31.5 meters per second. And I don't think we're going to get that much slower. A little bit further. We're under 30 meters per second. I think that's still too fast to be survivable. That's 70 miles an hour, give or take. And here we go. The game says 20 dead squirrels. Okay. Yeah. What we got out of that was 20 squirrels put together in a non-air resistant form would probably have been cooked by re-entry heating, but if they had even a thin re-entry heating shield, it only lasted for about 15-20 seconds at most before they went below the critical temperature. If they survived that, they would still be going a little bit too fast, and that would be it for them. The ring around it here, the stack separator, is a 10 kilogram part. We started the show by following that down because I screwed up the separation velocity, and as a result, the ejection force from the stack separator was enough to put the nose cone back into orbit. What we are about to do, we are about to get up to our apoapsis, basically the target altitude. Actually, we're almost on top of the target altitude. We are going to slow our orbital velocity down to 0. We're going, or close enough. We're going to detach the stack separator and the cone. We're going to very carefully boost the probe here, the rocket ship, back into orbit, and then we're going to follow the nose cone all the way down to the surface to see what happens. Okay, 4.8, that's good enough. Decouple. And even that, at 1%, that was one hell of a kick. This is the nose cone. And it gonna crash! All right. 8.8 meters per second of orbital velocity and slowly accelerating. That is close enough to a vertical descent as makes no never mind. I mean, look at that trajectory. That is exactly what we wanted, with exactly the piece we wanted. So now, we are going to watch it fall. As soon as I can find Kerbal. There's Kerbal. We're going to start by putting it into time warp at 50 times time warp until we hit atmosphere, and then we're going to have it run regular speed all the way to the ground. Okay, from here out, we're riding it out at real speed because I'm not 100% confident. And Fax Paladin is quoting Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy at me. And what's this thing coming at me fast? So very, very fast. I wonder if it will be friends with me. All right. Well, in terms of weight and probably outcome, this is more along the lines of the bowl of petunias, Fax. All right. 110 kilometers. We're currently going at 3 kilometers per second plus. And bear in mind, I have no control over this thing. This is just an object. No reaction wheels, no nothing. Okay, we're in atmosphere immediately. And there's heating, heat effects, heat warning. Well, that's an answer. Whirly Squirrely would not make it to the ground because he would burn up. Pretty much instantly. The nose cone hit a temperature of 2077 Kelvin. That's why it went boom. All right, that experiment is over. I'm going to edit and post the video of the squirrel test. This has been Chris Overstreet, the Redneck Gaijin. Thanks very much for your patience and support. Well, see y'all next time.